Brad. Hindi po magtatagal ay maaring ibalik ang death penalty sa Pilipinas sapagkat naniniwala ang administrasyong darating na dapat seryosohin ang kampanya laban sa illegal drugs at criminality. Sa iba't ibang bahagi ng daigdig, araw-araw merong sumasailalim sa death penalty sapagkat maraming krimen na sinasabing nagaganap. May mga batas na nalalabag. Subalit ayon sa Amnesty International, ilang mga bansa ang nagpapatupad ng death penalty sa mga kabataan na nakagawa ng krimen kahit nga wala pang 18 years old nang magawa ang krimen, subjected pa rin sila sa death penalty. Ang malungkot nito, matagal silang napapalagay sa death row at walang anumang impormasyon kung kailan sila sasailalim sa parusa o kung yung bang kanilang mga kamag-anak ay makikita pang muli. Naniniwala ang Amnesty International na ang death penalty ay isang malupit, hindi makatao at nakasasamang parusa. Kinokontra nila ang death penalty at all times regardless kung sino man ang akusado, ano man ang krimen, ano man ang nagawa. At sinasabi na noong 1977, 16 na bansa ang nag-abolish ng death penalty. Ngayon, may 140 bansa na or 2/3 of the countries around the world have abolished death penalty. We will talk about this issue today. We're happy to have with us our guests. Kasama po natin si Father Jerome Siciliano ng Office of Public Affairs, Permanent Committee on Public Affairs ng Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines. Ang kilalang si Martin Dino ng Volunteers Against Crime and Corruption. Siya po ang dahilan kaya't kumandidato si Mayor Duterte. Kung hindi siya nag-file, hindi nakapag-file si Digong. Ngayon, presidente na si Digong. We have Secretary Rafael Alunan ng DILG at ng Tourism. Kasama rin po natin si Brother Rudy Diamante ng CBCP Episcopal Commission on Prison Pastoral Care at si Ado Paglinawan, ang Chairman at CEO ng Affinity Publics. Simulan natin. Sky.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Sky Ortigas. Thank you so much for being here sa ating mga guests. Ngayon, yung una kong tanong sa inyong lahat, yung ating topic for today, death penalty, do we really need it?
Let's start with the man at the center, Secretary Rafi.
Father, I didn't do it and I promise not to do it again. What we really need, honestly, is a total revamp of the criminal justice system for people to have to really feel that there's justice, to restore respect in the rule of law, and to fear the law. Okay. But having said that, okay, reforming the criminal justice system will take time. And therefore, a government and a society that is confronted by tremendous issues on criminality and abuse of the human rights of society have to take appropriate measures to protect themselves. Okay. One of those measures is the death penalty. The death penalty is not, to begin with, an absolute cure or absolute deterrent, but it has deterrent value. To the extent that the death penalty deters certain people from committing crimes, particularly murder or the abuse of women and children, then the death penalty would have served its purpose as far as deterring those people are concerned. Now, the death penalty has to be legislated. Okay? And the crimes that fall under the death penalty have to be clearly identified and defined. Sa akin, those that probably deserve to be accorded the death penalty, I think number one are the traitors to the country and the people. So treason has to be, is clearly defined actually in our laws. And these are people that I think are entitled to the death penalty. The second are serial plunderers that have contributed to the sustained poverty in the country. Sa akin, poverty is terror of the worst kind because people live through it 24/7, indefinitely. And when you steal opportunities and the wealth, potential wealth or benefits that could have gone to the people and embargo it for yourself, for greed and for other vested reasons, I think people like that who have caused the misery of millions for years, I deserve to be considered as people entitled to the death penalty. And the third,
Beneficiaries.
a beneficiary, yes. And the third are those that are terrorists, no? Terrorists who wantonly kill without any regard for human life, who don't care whether it's innocents who die, I think deserve also the death penalty. Not everybody deserves the death penalty. Now, I think the fourth one, I think is also very important. When you are involved in drugs, okay, and I'm talking about the leaders of drug syndicates, okay, those who finance illegal drugs, those who maintain private armies to ensure that their drug business is enforced and enlarged. I think these are people that not only invade your home, snatch away your children, subvert your community, and threaten the peace and order of the nation. These are murderers, and just like terrorists, they don't care about what they do to society. They only care about the money that they generate. So these four categories, I think, to me, are entitled to get the death penalty.
Thank you. Rudy, what does the Episcopal Commission on Prison Pastoral Care got to say about the death penalty?
Yung tanong kasi kung kailangan, di ba? Sino ba nangangailangan? Palagay ko kailangan ng administrasyong papasok na ipakita na meron silang ginagawa sa krimen allegedly na lumalala, which is also contrary to the report naman ng PNP. Hindi naman ganon because I sit sa NAPOLCOM Technical Committee on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice. That is, if the former secretary will recall, was a result of the crime and summit that he has called 3 times at the Manila Hotel, no? Na form yung NAPOLCOM Technical Committee. So any administration would like to show that they're doing something about crime. Ang masama lang, ang laging tinitignan yung penalty, which is the last stage in the criminal justice system. The secretary has mentioned that ang kailangan baguhin ay yung criminal justice, no? Yung certainty of arrest, na talagang magiging maaresto, certainty of prosecution, and certainty of conviction. Defective lahat yan eh. And certainty of being put in prison and rehabilitated. Itong 4 na ito ay defective. At hindi ito masyadong natitignan kung papaano up until now. No? in my entire para bang work sa prison ministry. I have been there since 1976, no? Yun, we have been lobbying. This has been debated a long time ago, before the 1987 Constitution that abolished it, but retain the provision na Congress may impose it. O, in-impose, 1994. Eh, hanggang ngayon, patuloy ang krimen yung penalty. In fact, during the time the execution ni Eche Garay on rape, merong na-commit na crime. As one international, parang expert mentioned, ang isang kung nagko-commit ng crime, hindi tinitignan yung penalty. Kasi pag yung crime ay kinukommit, crime of passion, hindi na pag-isipan. Ngayon, kung pinaplano naman, pinaplano nila kung paano may evade yung krimen. No? Paano silang hindi ma-convict. So, pinaplano. So, yun yung system natin na defective na until such time, palagay ko walang room yung pagtingin dun sa area ng penalty. So, kailangan ito ng administrasyon, pero kailangan ba ng biktima para ma-feel nila na meron justice? Mismo si Miss Cherry Pai Pecache, whose mother was murdered, sabi niya, pag pinatay mo yung pumatay dun sa mama ko, pinatay din yung proseso ko ng pag-heal. Because she realized in a way that the part of the healing process is the offender, no? Pag pinatay mo yung offender, nawala na yung possibility niya ng proseso ng pagpapatawad. And I think it doesn't satisfy the victim. All over the world would say na hindi. The thirst for blood is of course the initial response, pero it will never give satisfaction on the part of the victim. So ito yun, no? In fact, when we executed yung si Agbayani who raped yung kanyang 3 anak, the 3 children were begging na wag ituloy yung execution. Now, what happened to them? The state has done their part, pero nasa nang healing ng 3? Wala namang ginawa So in effect, yung death penalty, kailangan ba? Sino ang nangangailangan ito? Kailangan ba ng komunidad so that we will be at peace? Hindi In
Okay.
fact, during the time na meron death penalty, kinover ng media, second, third, hanggang napagod na rin sila mismo dun sa pagko-cover. So, ito hindi the collective wisdom of the people who decided to think about it, I think should not be ignored by the current president, by the incoming president, just so to show that he is tough on crime.
Okay.
Being tough on crime does not mean that you will have it to be tough on penalty.
Thank you. What? From VACC. Painit na ng painit yung discussions natin, ha?
Feeling ko nga second round ito No? Kasi during the time nung, if you remember, the reimposition of death penalty at saka nung time na nabitay si Leo Tiagaray, ako yung barangay captain na tumulong dun sa bata, no? At ilan kami na talagang humanap ng katarungan para dun sa biktima. No? At ang Volunteer Against Crime and Corruption, kami ang nagre-represent ng victim. Kaya't ako hindi naman ako naniniwala na walang epekto to sa biktima. Dahil sa totoo lang, magmula nung tinanggal ni Gloria Macapagal Arroyo ang death penalty, lalong lumala ang ating kulungan. Nung araw, nung may death row, walang hawak-hawak itong mga nasa death row, kundi Biblia. At nandun sila nagdadasal. Pero nung nawala yung death penalty, namayagpag to the point na sila na ang may hawak ng loob ng kulungan at sila pa ang nagluluto ngayon ng droga. Ngayon, ako, nakausap ko ang ating presidente. Hindi naman kami magkasama sa grupo Nagkita lang kami sa Subic. Sabi niya sa akin, Kap, pagka nanalo akong presidente, ibabalik kong death penalty within 6 months. Dahil alam niya ang stand ng BACC. Kami naman, hindi naman kami yung bloodthirsty na At naniniwala din kami sa due process of law. Kaya lang, siyempre, merong obligasyon ang pamahalaan na kung saan itong pamahalaan to nakaligtaan yata nila ang paglala ng droga. Imagine in Metro Manila, kada 10 barangay, siyam ang apektado ng droga. Nung nangangampanya kami, hanggang probinsya, hanggang bukid. Alam niyo yung mga puser, pati manok at saka kambing pinapatulan. Kaya ngayon, ang United Nations mismo, nagsabi na talang sa buong mundo, lumalala ang droga. Pareho kami ni Secretary Alunan. Kaya lang, yung order of yung mga ma-execute,
Priorities.
yung priorities, uunahin ko doon, ang drug lord. Ito yung mga pumupunta dito sa bansa natin, nagtatayo ng drug laboratory o nanggagaling sa kanila. Itong droga. At sinisira, hindi isang biktima kung hindi lahing Pilipino. Saan ka nakakita? Just yesterday, 3 years old na bata, pinagsasaksak ng anak, ng ina. 10 years old na bata, pinagsasaksak ng ama. Imamasakre niya ang buong pamilya because under the influence of drugs. Itong droga na to, para sa amin sa BACC, ito ang unang-unang dapat bitayin ang mga drug lord na pumunta sa Pilipinas para sirain ang lahing Pilipino. Pangalawa, tama, yung mga nagtrador sa pamahalaan, lalong-lalo na yung mga opisyal ng ating pamahalaan na nagtrador. At isa sa katradoran na yan, yun ang ibigay mo ang parte ng iyong, bansa, no? At pabayaan mo na may mayagpag ang dayuhan. Pangalawa, ang pagnanakaw sa pamahalaan, ito ay nangunguna din sa pangunahing gusto ng ating presidente, yung pagnanakaw sa pamahalaan, na kung saan patuloy na nalulugmok ang ating mga mahihirap sa lalong paghihirap at itong mga mayayaman ay lalong yumayaman. At siyempre, nandyan pa rin yung sunod-sunod na krimi natin. Andyan na yung rape killer, kidnap o ransom na isoli mo na yung bata, na isoli na yung biktima, papatayin pa. Yung karnaper na nakuha na yung sasakyan, hindi pa na-satisfy na nasa kanya na yung sasakyan, papatayin niya pa yung pinagnakawan niya. Yung riding in tandem na kung sino wala siyang pinipiling patayin, ito ay hindi normal. Kaya nga, sabi ko nga, second round ito, no, na talagang tayo, ngayon, ay susubok na naman tayo. Kasi, ano naman to na-suspend during the time of Gloria. Ngayon, ang hinihingi lang ng ating Pangulo ay yung restoration ng death penalty. Kaya hindi na siguro hahaba ang usapan dito. Dahil meron ng pinag-usapan ito, yun na lang butuhan kung paano ibabalik at saka yung manner of execution at saka kung ano yung mga babawasin. Dahil alam ko dyan, yung maraming tatamaan dyan, lalo-lalo na yung mga politiko, merong may mababawas dyan. Pero okay lang tayo doon. Basta natin, itong para sa akin kasi talagang ang paglala ng droga. Ito ang pangunahin namin.
Okay. Na priority. Ato, from your end, ano tingin mo?
Paglinawan natin to.
Nagkataon yung apelido niya. Yes, please.
Idadagdag ko pa dyan yung mga heinous crime against women at saka ang malawakang pandaraya sa eleksyon. Sapagkat pag nandaya ka sa eleksyon, hindi lamang isang tao ang kalaban mong pinatay mo, kundi ang soberanya ng buong bansa. Palagay ko, ang nagbibigay hudyat sa mga kriminal ay hindi yung kung may death penalty tayo o wala tayong death penalty, kundi yung ambivalent attitude ng ating gobyerno. Hindi lamang sa justice, kundi sa basic governance. Palagay ko sa panahong 6 na taon lumipas at sa wakas ay magwawakas na sa 30 ng Hunyo, ang pinakamasamang example dito na binigay para ang krimen mismo ay sumapaw na sa liberalismo ng administrasyon ay ang ehemplo mismo ng aalis na Pangulong si Benigno Simeon Aquino na siya mismo ang lumabag sa mga batas. Tinalikuran ng konstitusyon. Pinaltan at binasto sa mga institusyon ang tripartite nature ng ating gobyerno. Hindi lang yon, pati yung paggamit ng pera ng bayan para mapasa ang mga batas katulad ng RH law. So, pagka ganyan ang pamunuan, palagay ko, kaya may death penalty o wala, eh talagang lalawak ang krimen. Ngayon, siya mismo nagtataka kung bakit ang mga pulis ay masigasig ngayon at matikas sa paghahabol sa mga drug lords. Eh wala naman siyang ginagawang iba. At wala naman siya talagang ginawa, kundi palawakin ng droga sa bansang ito. Hindi ko nasasabihin ng mga chismis na mismo Malacanang ay involved dito, pero ang sa akin, ganito lamang. Lagay natin ang death penalty dyan. Ultimo simbahang Katoliko, hindi tumututol dyan. In fact, capital punishment, according to the church, is the right of the state. This is a principle taught by the church. The Catholic Church itself says that it is not per se immoral and places the option of having it or not having it on the state. Nandyan lang naman yung option na yan eh. Nandyan naman all throughout, and I'm sure if they will come up with the law, they will come up with they will debate and consider the position of the Pope, of the Amnesty International. But it is there. It's standing there.
Okay.
Sa implementation naman yan, yung mga huwis mismo can temper themselves or let loose of themselves. And at the very final act, even minutes before the execution, the chief executive of the country can render his own, the exclusion of the person who is about to be executed.
Okay.
So, nandun yung mga checks and balances. Ngayon, pero kung aalisin mo yan, eh, pati sa propaganda, talo ka na. Dahil wala kang panakot.
All right. Father, from your end sa public affairs ng CBCP.
Okay, maraming salamat. Una-una, reaction muna sa sinabi ni
Ado.
ni Ado, that the church is not actually against the death penalty. Siguro dapat tinawin natin dito na nire-recognize lang ng simbahan that the death penalty or legislating death penalty is really the right of the state. Yun lang naman ang malinaw dun eh. Hindi naman kino-question ng simbahan dito kung sino ang dapat na magpapataw ng ganyang parusa. Definitely not the church. But the church actually, in its universal principle na tinatawag na tinuturo niya, the church is actually against killing per se. And death penalty is about killing. So, baka ma-distort natin, yung right na magpataw ng death penalty, kinikilala ng simbahan sa estado yan. But the church per se, is against killing. So, dapat ilagay natin sa context. And then, pangalawa, gusto kong puntuhan dito na, well, the death penalty is actually after the fact. Ang ibig sabihin nito, kung pinag-uusapan natin dito, deterrence yan sa crime, nakomit mo na yung crime eh. Binanggit kanina yung penalty, ipinapato mo yan sa huli na eh. Patayin mo man ng isang kriminal ngayon, meron pa rin namang kriminal na gagawa ng krimen. Yung iniisip natin na magiging deterrent yan kasi natatakot, well, perhaps medyo na-undermine natin dito ang psikolohiya ng isang kriminal. Kapag ang isang kriminal ay gumagawa ng isang krimen, hindi niya iisipin kung anong penalty sa kanya. Ang gagawin niya kung paano mako-complete yung krimen. Ang isang kriminal, kapag gagawa ng krimen, ang pinaplano niyan, kung paano sila lulusot, hindi sila madadakip. At ngayon kung madakip man, alam din nila, dahil may mga butas tayo, binanggit na ninyo yung criminal justice system, pwede ka magbayad, Kung makulong ka man, pwede kang magbuhay-hari doon, mag-concert ka sa loob, kayang-kaya nilang gawin kasi ganun ang sistema. So how can you be sure that these people will actually be fearful about this penalty of death when in fact there is no assurance that they are going to be meted by this penalty? Kasi unang-una, kaya nila magbayad. So parang ang point ko dito is, yung after the fact na binabanggit natin, kung yan ay ipinapataw mo pagkatapos mo nang gawin ng krimen, ang pinakamaganda nito, bantayan mo yung kriminal na hindi talaga gumawa ng krimen. Ngayon halimbawa, lumalabas dito na napakatapang ng ating Pangulo at yung mga pulis ngayon gumagalaw, siguro isustain na lang nila yung ganong kasigasigan nila, no? Na andyan dyan sila sa kalye, nakikita sila ng mga tao. Baka naman kahit papano, yung presence nila at yung ganitong sistema ngayon na gumawa ka ng mali, di ka nadadaan sa isang proseso, bibirahin ka na lang dyan, tutumba ka na lang, baka sakaling doon pa matakot. Kasi kapag ipinasok mo yan sa kulungan, palagay ko di matatakot sa sistema na meron tayo ngayon. Palagay ko hindi naman sila parang natitinag doon So, yun ang unang point that's after the facts. Pangalawa, na nakikita ko dito, parang kapag binanggit natin na ipatan na yung death penalty, parang sinimplify mo lang kasi yung issue dito Ang ibig sabihin ng sinimplify yung issue, pag pinatay mo yan, ayos na yan, tatakot na mga yan. Pati mga politiko hindi nagagawa yan. Well, actually, kapag tiningnan natin yung ilang aspeto ng mga pangyayari, ang dami ditong involved Di lang naman dyan yung drugs sa binabanggit ninyo. Di naman din dito yung kakulangan din siguro ng presensya ng mga pulis. Ang involved din dito, kumbaga ay kita natin na cliche man ito, yung mahirap na sitwasyon ng isang tao. Kumbaga kahit papaano nagbubunsod yun sa kanya para gumawa siya ng krimen. Well, iba. Kung iba mga politiko na. Ang pinag-uusapan dahil hindi na mahirap yan Kung mandarambong yan, babanat at babanat pa rin yan. Pero ang point ka lang natin dito is, kung papatay tayo ng papatay, hindi naman yan yung tipo, mapuputol mo na yung krimen yan Dahil uusbong at uusbong pa rin naman yung mga tao na maaring gumawa ng krimen. It is inherent in a person also that really he can do something wrong even though there is that impending penalty na naghihintay sa kanya. Inherent na yan sa pagkatao ng isang nilalang. Gagawa at gagawa yan talaga with or without death penalty.
Okay. It's been said, Secretary, that there are about 92 OFWs languishing in various jails abroad. If we decide to reimpose the death penalty, what standing have we to request the other countries, the host countries to these OFWs, for a reprieve at mailigtas natin eventually yung ating kababayan?
There are two different things here. One is, I don't think you can do much about, the laws of other countries and how they apply it. All you can do is just plead for mercy. Okay. But that being said, there are a number of things that need to be clarified here. I agree with what Father Jerome said, that the church does recognize the right of a state to defend its society. And if at a certain point in time in their history, government and or society think that the death penalty would be an effective measure to both prevent as well as obtain retribution for crimes against humanity, then I think government and society should be views on that point should be respected. The death penalty is not a panacea. Okay, that's number one. Number two, it's not a permanent measure. It depends on the exigencies of the times. Number three, it should be limited to really the most heinous of all crimes. And there is no order. Heinous crimes belong to one category. They cannot be further classified as the worst, lesser, or the least. They're all heinous. And if it is wholesale, if the crime is wholesale against a helpless society, against a helpless community, and when the gatekeepers themselves of government cannot be relied upon, those who within government who wish to protect society and go out of their way, out of their comfort zones, to carry out their oath of office, who swore to protect society and the integrity of the country, then I think they should be given the support to adopt extreme measures to do so. One last thing. I believe in the moral use of force. Okay? But the moral use of force must be applied based on very, very strict criteria. Okay? I think those who read St. Augustine and St. Thomas Aquinas understand that. They fall under different titles like just cause, just war, moral use of force. In our society, I think we have no choice but at this point look at how we've become. Nobody fears the law. Nobody respects the law. And yet when we had the death penalty, I recall when I visited the death row, I've been to death row many times, Father. And I've spoken to people there. In fact, one of my aide-de-camps was in death row because he killed 6 drug lords and pushers in Bulacan. I spoke to a group that were about to die. They were praying. There were about 7 of them. And the warden asked me if I wanted to talk to them, so I went in. This was one of different occasions where I walked inside their cells and talked to people in death row. I spoke to 2. One was a rapist, another was a serial rapist. And the person he kept serially raping was his daughter. Another was just a murderer, but you know, a serial murderer. Talagang wanted person sa probinsya. At kinausap ko sila, tinanong ko sila kung anong ginawa nila at kung nagsisisi sila. Ang common na sagot is talagang, you know, they felt very, very ashamed of what they did. And then I asked them the question, you think you deserve to die? And they said yes, so that we don't repeat it again. See, I think there are certain people, there are certain criminals who are serial criminals, right? And if they're allowed to roam society after going through the process of rehabilitation and knowing how ineffective our rehabilitation process here is, they're bound to repeat it.
Okay. So yun ang sitwasyon.
You know, there's no, you can't come up with what you call a one-size-fits-all prescription.
Okay.
All right. You have to look at, it's very circumstantial. No? And like I said, if we apply the death penalty now, it's purely seen as A, retribution, B, prevention. But it should be a temporary measure until such time that we fix the criminal justice system and restore the people's fear in the law and respect for the law. Okay?
Yeah.
And that also calls for cultural transformation. Okay? We need to transform society. And that takes time. That takes time.
But Secretary, you will also agree with me that while crimes may have been committed, they can get the best lawyers. Not only that, they can have the best lawyers, but the other party can buy the judge.
Correct. That's why we need to. That's why we need to reform the criminal justice system. And you know, speaking for the incoming president, He said, you know, I've been attacked many times for my dirty mouth, and I admit it. But this one thing I promise people, I will give them a clean government. And so he has to clean up the protectors of criminals and criminal syndicates in government, protectors of the drug syndicates, those who serially plunder the people's money for their own self-gain, you know, and perpetuate poverty. These are the people he's going to run after. And I think it's about time that we support a leader who has a no-nonsense approach to governance. No? Because he wants to clean up our act. We've messed it up for so long. We've been so lenient on ourselves for so long that it's time to apply self-discipline.
So magkakaroon ng sample.
No, I think the best way is to sample ourselves. Self-discipline, like I said, no? But if he needs to apply the rule of the law and enforce it, then he will not fear it. He will not shirk from his duty of applying the law, the full force of the law if necessary.
Karudi?
I-raise ko lang ng konti yung level ng discussion. No? Kasi, okay, the President will be sworn into office June 30, is going to uphold the Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines. Yung death penalty na gusto niyang isulong is a violation of the Constitution. Ano yun? State values the dignity of every human person and guarantees full respect for human rights. Another thing is the violation sa International Covenant, Second Optional Protocol on Civil and Political Rights, to which the Philippines has ratified, na hindi i-restore yung death penalty, yung possibility. Yan yung yung irony of it, no. Saka yung why think of yun nga yung penalty, yun yung last resort para yung sa krimen but hindi actionan muna. In fact, even as you said, even the Catechism of the Catholic Church sinasabi, pwedeng ibalik ang death penalty as a last resort, last stage yun. When everything has been exhausted, hindi pa nga na-actionan yung iba Bakit penalty kagad? Sa akin, pangangailangan ng pamahalaan, kasi popular, hindi alam masyado ng mga tao, hindi na pag-aaralan. Pag sinabi, may death penalty, madideter na yung krimen. Hindi nga may proseso At saka, I cannot imagine yon. Disabled mo na yung tao, no? Nandoon na, nakakulong na, nahuli mo na, na-convict mo na, na-disable mo na, papatayin mo yung helpless victim before you. By whatever means, kaya lethal injection, kaya ano ba yung what is happening to your humanity? No? It diminishes your humanity. If you're going to kill a helpless person, not even in morality na meron kang ground na gawin yun. Kasi yung bang sinasabing the right to self-defense, anong self-defense? Tinali mo na yung tao, no, sa harapan ng mga taong hindi siya makakaano, tapos papatayin mo. What could be that? And not only that, no? What is ironic about it, they're going to use the money, ako ay taxpayer, na nagagawin yon in the name of the 16 million who voted on him. There are 110 million Filipinos. 16 million lang yung bumoto sa'yo, not even the majority. You're going to do that in their name and in my name? That I cannot sanction. Yung legalized killing is really murder.
Okay. Rejoin this. Yes, please. Secretary Rafi.
Okay. Like I said kanina, I identified specific crimes, no? And I'll take one. Crimes against humanity, terrorism. Okay? I'll cite two examples. Okay? Yung Abu Sayyaf and the Islamic Command Council. The Abu Sayyaf has raped, killed, tortured innocents. Okay? They don't care whether you're Catholic or Muslim. They don't care whether you're Filipino or Indonesian or Malaysian or any other nationality. Right? They kill. They kill for money and for whatever crooked views they have of their religion, which is really un-Islamic. You don't talk to them. You don't say, nice doggy, come in, I invite you to my house and I'll try to talk you out of it. You don't do that. They'll kill you first. Second, the Islamic Command Council. These are extremists from different groups that gather together because they have a purple passion against the government, against Christians, against the rule of law. What did they do? I'll give you a good example. IPIL. IPIL in April 1995. They attacked the town of IPIL and caused over 100 casualties. I got there the following day. People were still in the streets. Hospitals and the funeral parlors were overwhelmed. It's a good thing that Bishop Escaler I found him alive. Children were dead. Women who were pregnant were dead. People taken hostage used as human shields. You can't go to them and say, hey, nice doggy. Come, I'll talk to you and let's see if we can talk this out. They'll shoot you. And if they catch you with your wife and your children, they'll rape your wife in front of you and kill them. Your children too. Okay. Now, when you're dealing with people who've taken away or disrespected the human right of society, they've lost the right to protect their own human rights. Okay. And I think the state has every right to protect society against a repeat of that particular crime or crimes that they commit against humanity. Okay. That's why I was very, very specific. You're not talking about any ordinary criminal. You're talking about people of this type around the world who kill thousands and thousands of innocents and really don't care about your human right. Okay. So we have to be very, very particular what we're talking about here.
Okay. But
Sabi ko nga, napagdaanan ko na to during the time ng Echegaray case. Hanggang ngayon, ganun pa rin ang issue. Paano na ngayon yung mga biktima? Parang ang kanina, hindi ko malaman kung
pakilapit
sino
lang po sa mikropono.
Kanina, hindi ko malaman kung sino yung sinasabi na victim. Yung bang mga nakakulong na pumatay, na nang-rape, tapos brutally na pinatay yung bata, minasakir ang buong pamilya. Yun bang sinasabi nating biktima, yung nang hold up o nangarnap, pagkatapos nakuha niya na yung kotse, yung pinagkarnapan niya, sinunog, tinaga, pinatay. Di ba? Kamukha din ng sinabi ni Secretary Rapi. Itong mga Abu Sayyaf o kaya yung nagbomba nung sa Luneta na kung saan ang daming namatay. Ito ba yung ating sinasabi na biktima? Mukha yatang hindi yata ganun ang paningin ng ating mga mamayan. At saka sabi nga natin, ang death penalty, hindi permanente yan eh. Kaya nga tayo may mambabatas, meron tayong senador at congressman para tignan nila, nararapat bang ibalik ang death penalty ngayon sa panahon na to? At ang ating presidente, desidido siya na magkaroon ng pagbabago. Bakit siya, in spite na nagsalita ang simbahan laban sa kanya, pero bakit siya pa rin ang nanalo? Dahil ang mga Pilipino sawang-sawa na doon sa mga pabaya sa pamahalaan at nakita nila yung peace and order na nangyari sa Davao. Dito sa Metro Manila, sino sa atin ngayon ang nandito? Pag na-late ang anak nyo ng pag-uwi, hindi kakabog-kabog ang dibdib ninyo. Baka mamaya may nasalubong na siyang kriminal o may nasalubong na siyang adik.
Okay. So, ang issue rito, ano ginawa nung paalis at nagkagalito? Father.
Maganda yung sinabi niya kanina, nasa Davao daw peaceful eh. Pero sa Davao, wala naman dong death penalty na na-legislate eh. Ang meron doon, extrajudicial, ano?
Oo, narinig ko yun.
So, ang ibig lang sabihin naman ito, pwede naman pala eh. Pwede naman pala na maging matino tao kung halimbawa talagang meron kang rule of law na talagang pinapatupad. Napatino nga niya doon eh. Ngayon, kung ano mang ginawa mo dong eksperimento halimbawa sa Davao, baka pwede mo namang gawin yan sa buong Pilipinas. Minus, of course, yung tinatawag nating extrajudicial killing, kung totoo man yan. Ang akin lang, ano ba yung formula na ginawa niya doon, minus sa extrajudicial killing, na sumusunod sa kanya mga tao? Bakit hindi niya gawin dito? Kasi ibig sabihin nun, kung yung batas kasi napapatupad nila doon at ini-implement nila, ini-impose nila, ba't hindi mo gawin dito?
Yeah.
So, parang eto ka ngayon, nasa Pilipinas ka, i-shortcut mo yung proseso kasi gusto mo luminaw, ay gusto mo magkaroon ng linis, mabilisan. Pero isa pang magandang puntuhan dito, na gagawin mo yan dito, sasabihin ninyo na ito ay temporary lang, pinaglaruan mo lang yung mga tao. Yung mga pinatay mo kasi temporary lang ito, and then at a certain period of time, you are going to put a stop to it. Because perhaps nakita mo, na-deter na yung crime, wala nang gumagawa niyan. How can you be sure that if you're going to, kung totoo man, nakaka-deter yan ng crime, how can you be sure na pag nilift mo na yan, talagang totally wala na rin yung krimen? Babalik mo na naman yan. So ano yan, pinaglalaroan mo tao? Hindi ba natin nakikita yon yung ganung konsepto,
Okay.
So, parang once and for all, nung nakausap ko dito isang senador, may nakausap kong isang senador. Well, the church actually pronounces some of the situations na meron tayo. Sabi sa akin ng senador, Father, those arguments advanced by the church, these were the same arguments 20 years ago. Yun ang sinabi niya. Ang sagot ko sa kanya, simple lang, well, I pity the Philippines. Because those people who are actually tasked to do something about this situation, wala silang ginawa 20 years ago. Kaya meron pa rin tayo. Kaya yung sinasabi nating reform the justice system, it will take time. Manong ginawa mo na yan 20 years ago, 25 years ago, di na sana pinag-uusapan itong death penalty siguro.
Yeah, if you have rulings for sale, then how much more? Secretary.
Yes, Father, during our time with President Ramos, we began the process of reforming the criminal justice system. The thing is, problema kasi, when you start something, the next administration does not continue it. If it's not made here, they don't continue. We have a problem of sustainability. It was also during our time that we had the death penalty. Okay? And drugs was still under control, but in 1995, when I was in Washington, ang sabi ng DEA chief sa akin doon, we are watching the Philippines closely because you're going the way of Colombia. Narco-politics is setting in. You have to do something about that. And I reported it to President Ramos. And then, as you said, in 2006, natanggal yung death penalty. And it was during the period after President Ramos that narco-politics further set in. Today, if one were to read the reports on drug proliferation and the triads that are operating here, that are not only Chinese but also from Nigeria, from North Korea, from South America. Here in Metro Manila, as Martin was saying, 9 out of 10 barangays are infiltrated. But that's supposed to be a low figure. Others are saying that it's almost 100%. ARMM is, the drugs proliferation is alive and well. In reports in Bacolod, in Iloilo, follow the money trail. Wherever there's money, drugs are proliferated. And then you've got national and local officials protecting the drug syndicates because that's now their source of political funding. It has proliferated, especially at the time when the death penalty was removed. Okay. Now, how does one, based on overwhelming odds, how does one protect society? How does one protect the family, the community, the country against drug proliferation when the statistics are showing that 10 million Filipinos are drugged? You know what the impact is on the economy, on law and order, on peace and order? You think of the implications and the repercussions long term. Okay? Mm-hmm. How do you get to talk to the drug lords? Hey, stop it. How do you talk to the politicians and say, hey, don't do that, that's bad for society? No? How? How do you convince them? You tell me.
Okay. Sige, pahabol. Tapos we'll open the floor to our friends from the media.
Sagutin ko lang yung ano, no? Kasi sabi, nagawa daw sa Davao. Remember, mayor lang. Si Mayor Duterte, during that time. Yung time na to na napatino niya, mayor siya, local executive. Ngayon, presidente na siya ng Pilipinas. Ang daming local executive na involved sa illegal drugs at saka tandaan natin, kaya nga, ibabalik niya ang death penalty kasi buong Pilipinas na pinag-uusapan, hindi Davao lang. Linawin natin yon, no? Ito yung kanyang paraan para lahat ng mga gagawa ng masama sa atin, lalong-lalo na itong mga drug lord, lalong-lalo na itong mga magnanakaw sa pamahalaan, mag-isip-isip kayo. Di ba? Ngayon, kung halimbawa na tayo naman dito ngayon, ang puproteksyonan natin itong mga kriminal, ewan ko na mangyayari sa Pilipinas.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Hanggang ngayon, di ko pa rin makita anong relasyon ng penalty doon sa pagpiprevent ng narcopolitics. For example, narcopolitics. Lagi na lang sinasabi, merong narcopolitics. Paano mo nga hulihin nyo kung ang involved mismo mga powerful people from government? Paano mo matatakot sila na magkaroon hindi mag-commit ng krimen kahit na meron kang death penalty dyan? Alam naman nila, malulusutan nila. Hindi ko hindi nga mahuli eh. Kung titingnan nyo yung nakakulong na sinasabi nyo yung drug lord doon sa Muntinlupa, check the profile, please. Until now, wala kayong makikitang
Governor.
wala talagang senador, walang politician. Noon pa sinasabing narco-politics yan eh.
Okay.
Yun ang ilusyon. I call it an illusion na pag may death penalty, matatakot na yung mga politicians na hindi nasusuporta. Excuse me, we are not that naive and we are not that stupid na i-connect yung penalty doon sa pagpe-prevent sa mga walang yang nasa gobyerno.
Dahil
at mga
way of
walang
life
yang
na nila
makapangyarihan. Dahil meron kang penalty. Malulusutan nga na-convict nga si Joseph Estrada. Ano ang nangyari? Nakulong ba siya?
May
Hindi.
bakasyon.
Ngayon nga, mayor pa ng Maynila. Nakakatawa, no? O ito, plunderer, yung mga nandoon. Nakakalusot yan. Bakit nga? Kayo na mismo nag-analyze na power. Kaya sa akin, ang mahalaga, masuri ito. At
Okay.
wag tingnan yung penalty kasi yung penalty last stage yan eh. Tingnan mo na, mahuhuli ba ninyo? Ito, mismo si Duterte, sinabi niya, pag daw sa kabinete niya, may nag-commit ng corruption, sasabihin niya mag-resign. Ba't mo pagre-resignin? Kasuhan mo!
All right.
Hindi yun ang sinasabi niya eh. Kung hindi, paalwan mo, ayan, nakita mo na. Si Katok, kakatukin daw yung mga known PNP general at sasabihin, umalis na kayo. Hindi! Mag-build up kayo ng case, kasuhan nyo. Kasi yung general na yun, kung yung general na yun, paalwan mo, di yun ang magsasabing, pwede naman pala, katukin ka lang paano yung mga millions? Ibalik. In other words, hindi talaga, I like to disabuse my mind na hindi ko makita yung koneksyon na ikaw ay kasi thinking being, sa non-thinking being, sasabihin, may death penalty na tayo. Matatakot na yung mga nasa power na yan na gumawa ng krimen. Excuse me, hindi yata ganun yung
All right.
nangyayari.
Sige. We'll open the floor to our friends from the media. Cardinal Rule, introduce yourself and go on with the question.
Sir,
and you're entitled to one follow-up.
I'm Leah from GMA7. For the CBCP people, hindi pa po about death penalty yung question ko, but about yung nangyayari po ngayon na marami pong mga sinasabing drug addicts ba, pushers na napapatay sa mga operation po ng mga police. How does the CBCP feel about it? Kasi you mentioned kanina si Sir, yung parang nasan yung humanity, and you said also about due process. Do you feel na parang wala rin pong due process na nangyayari dun sa mga napapatay ngayon ng mga, kahit nasabihin natin totoo mga drug pushers po yung mga yun?
Well, I think hindi lang yung feel ba nararamdaman ng CBCP Dapat tingnan natin dito factual. Hindi kasi malinaw din kung talagang meron ba na mga warrant yan. Ito ba talagang pinapatay? Totoo ba talagang involved yan? Kulang din naman tayo sa facts eh. Lumalabas kasi yan sa media na pinatay na. At ang ina-allege ng media, yan ay mga drug users, drug pushers. So wala tayong nakikita na talagang mga impormasyon Well, ang CBCP naman, nagpalabas na ng isang statement tungkol dito na binibigyan talaga ng diin na sana yung proseso ay umusad dyan, na nandoon talaga yung lahat ng mga dapat na safeguards tungkol dyan. So yun lang naman din ang concern ng simbahan. Kasi kung halimbawa gagawa tayo ng mga bagay-bagay na wala naman sa proseso, sabi nga natin, ang simbahan, basta killing, murder. Hindi naman pumapayag ang simbahan yan kasi kapag pinahintulutan na ng simbahan yan bilang isang institusyon, sino pa? Sino pa ba ang pwedeng magbawal niyan? Kung pati mismo ang simbahan ay pumapayag na. So kulang tayo doon sa mga facts na dapat nating malaman.
So,
Pero,
Father, as far as you're concerned, alarm ang CBCP.
Alarm ang CBCP, in fact, kaya nagpalabas siya ng statement because of that. The CBCP is alarmed because apparently dumadami yung mga pinapatay.
Hindi, nalalaban naman sabi.
Yun ang sabi. Kaya sabi ko nga dalawang sides ang kwento yan. Hindi natin alam pero tama lang naman siguro magpalabas ng ng ganitong alarm A concern ang sabi natin dito.
Si sir? Mr. Jamal.
Rudy?
Ano pa man sasabihin natin, di lang naman ngayon nangyayari yan. Nangyayari na nun eh.
Kaya
Diba?
naman
So
marami
ngayon,
ngayon,
para
sir.
bang
Package deal.
are they taking the cue from the incoming president or what? I don't know, we have to go into an in-depth analysis. Pero hindi ko po pwede kagad tanggapin na, ito, pamatayan kasi nanlaban. Kasi kamukha yung isa. No, di ba? Nilipat daw yung handcuff, nilipat daw dun sa likod, tapos inagaw yung baril. Tapos pag nag-iimbestiga ngayon ng human rights ngayon ang masama. Diba? Yung ganun, ano bang respeto dun sa due process? Kaya sa incoming administration, who will swear, ewan ko kung anong constitution ang kanyang pagsusumpaan. Pagka ganoon,
Biblia.
whatever it is, to uphold the constitution of this country, yun nakalagay yun eh. Diba? Tignan niya at suriin mabuti at sana magkaroon talaga ng respetong yon. And please, as leaders, I don't think we should give an illusion to our people that these things can be solved, no?
Okay.
Kayo nga na nagsasabi na proseso ang pagbabago. Change is coming. But what kind of change is coming, no?
Secretary? You're not from the CBCP, right? Not yet.
No. CCP yata.
Malapit na daw.
well, una-una, si incoming President Duterte himself nandududa sa mga extrajudicial killings na nangyayari ngayon. They look like extrajudicial killings. Meron siyang binitaw na salita na mukhang itong mga pinapatay are meant to silence them para they don't squeal against those who are killing them. Okay. Don't forget he's a lawyer and he knows the rule of law. He understands the law. Now, during our time, I just want to disabuse your minds because I was the National Peace and Order Council chairman. So if you're going to blame him for killings, you might as well blame me. All right? Let me just put it this way. If he was into extrajudicial killings during our time, President Ramos and I would have gotten him by the collar and thrown him in Muntinlupa the way we did Augusto Sanchez of Laguna, who was into raping, killing, and drugs proliferation and is still now in jail. Right? And we did that to various mayors and governors all over the country as we enforce the law. Now, we had very strict guidelines kay Digong, who was my Regional Peace and Order Council chairman for Region 11. Ang sabi namin sa kanya, when you enforce the law, we're talking about enforcing the law. We're not talking about going outside the pale of the law and into extrajudicial killings. Because he himself said publicly in the campaign, I am not into extrajudicial killings. I am into tough enforcement. Now, the strict guidelines that we gave was this. First of all, you have to have an order of battle that is accurate. So yung mga hinahanap mo ng mga kriminal na nakasa order of battle, dapat accurate yan based on thorough intelligence. Okay. Pangalawa, when you acquire the target, make sure it's not mistaken identity. Because there are times when somebody may look like you have to be doubly sure that before you issue that you serve the warrant of arrest and go out to get him, that he's the right guy. And you have to take into account the possibility of resistance to avoid collateral damage. Okay. Number 3, make sure he's given fair warning that he's being arrested. Number 4, and this is the most important, defend yourselves if resisted and fired upon. Very clear rules of engagement were issued. Okay. Now, whether people consider the death of a criminal resisting arrest extrajudicial is something that needs to be proven in the law of court, in a court of law, right? In the same way that perhaps people enforcing the law should go out of their way to assure the public that what they did was within the bounds of law. I think it's important, the two-way communication, right? Because if we just keep on hurling suspicions and then arriving at conclusions and prejudging people based on speculation, it doesn't help clear the situation. It doesn't help clear the problem. So my advice is, all of us have to work together to transform society. I think no one will argue the fact that things have gotten out of hand. Okay? Crime and corruption are out of control. During the campaign, wherever we went, ordinary people would come to us and say, eto yung report na binibigay namin sa inyo directly. Kasi inutil yung police namin, inutil yung mayor namin, inutil yung mga kagawad namin. Binibigay na namin yung impormasyon so that later on, should you assume office, you can do something about, and basically they were complaining about drugs. They were fearful about walking the streets at night kasi ang daming drug addict. They were fearful of riding their pedicabs and the jeeps because of hold-ups. They were fearful of mga akyat bahay by drug addicts who needed money to sustain the habit. Ang daming takot. Kaya I think it's very, very important to put these things in context. No?
Ano ba yung mga plano? Siyempre, magpapalaganap ng mga babasahin tungkol sa issue ng death penalty. Sana nga gusto naming erase from an emotional level into something sana, yun ang gawin ng Kongreso, pag-usapan. No? Ngayon, kung kaya itong pag-usapan ng 3 months to 6 months, so be it. Pero gusto namin mapag-usapan. Although the collective wisdoms of 2 Congresses, so many pinag-usapan na ito, sana makinig. Kasi talagang ang trend ngayon is towards towards talaga abolition. Wala talagang kinalaman yan sa penalty. Kahit dun sa Abu Sayyaf nga sinasabi, yung ang ISIS, pinagbobomba na, pinapatay na, pero lagi pa rin lumalago. In fact, sa NAPOLCOM Technical Committee on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice, isinusulong namin ang pagtatatag ng isang independent study commission na talagang pag-usapan ito, bakit ba itong uri ng krimen na ito ay pumapasok. Okay, kasulad niyan, yung droga. Bakit ito laganap? Bakit nagdodroga? Ultimo yung miyembro ng pamilya. Walang study. And if you don't have any study, then you don't have correct analysis, correct diagnosis of the problem, wala kang tamang magiging tamang solusyon.
Okay.
Ito yung gusto naming mangyari at may pondo naman to do that. In fact, the European Union has funded the Supreme Court to study ano ba talaga, what ails this, bakit dumalaganap yung droga. Katulad ng ginawa sa Thailand, pinag-aralan nila at sila ay nag-set up ng mga system, procedures, and structures to address the problem ng drugs. Sa bansang Pilipinas, yung daldal tayo ng daldal tungkol doon sa madaming mga drug addict, kailangan i-rehabilitate. Wala man lang rehabilitation program, puro private na magbabayad ng 60,000 ang magpaparehabilitate. Ang gobyerno, rehabilitation program niya, wala sang psychiatrist, doktor ang nagre-rehabilitate doon sa kanilang drug rehabilitation center ay mga drug addict din na medyo na-reform. Ano ba ito? Gaano ba tayo talaga ka-serious? Kaya sa akin, ito yung dapat tutukan, hindi yung penalty kagad na patayin na lang. Kasi parang quick fix solution. Wala tayong magawa dyan, patayin na lahat yan.
Easy.
Easy
Okay.
and quick fix solution.
Okay.
Kasi binabanggit lagi dito yung droga. Pero yung Mexico, kahit i-researchin nyo ngayon, yung Mexico walang death penalty. Tinanggal nga nila death penalty. Sa tingnan ninyo, yung death penalty ng Mexico, napakalala ng droga sa kanila, walang death penalty sa kanila. So ano bang nangyayari sa Pilipinas? Ano, nag-overreact ka ba? Kumpara mo sitwasyon ng Pilipinas saka sa Mexico, baka hindi nga yata mga lahati ang sitwasyon natin dito sa droga na kinakaharap nilang problema.
Okay. So, may tanong ako sa iyo, Father.
Okay, o sige.
Yung Colombia na malala, bay, matagal nang walang death penalty. Since 1910. Baka kaya lumago yung droga ron?
Well, hindi ko siguro, alam mo yung sinasabi nga natin dito, yung simplistic ways. Kasi kung pag-aaralan mo din naman ng bansa nila, matindi corruption sa kanila eh. Babalik pa rin, basahin mo yung bansa nila, matindi corruption sa kanila.
Nagkakausuan
Politicians are being corrupted.
Okay.
Judges are being corrupted.
And they like it, no?
And I think that's the reasons. Actually, these are the reasons why the proliferation of drugs continue to happen.
Ado, what do you want to say dito sa pinag-uusapan ngayon? Kanina ka pa nagsusulat dyan.
Hindi naman. Unang-una, prognosis ko na ito, no? Papasa itong batas na ito, whatever we say in this panel. Tatlong factor kung bakit nanalo si Digong. Hindi naman siya nanalo dahil sa personality cult lang. Ang una nagpanalo sa kanya, yung kiss of death kay Benigno Aquino at kay Mar Rojas. Na lumipat, nahalikan si Mar Rojas. Ang pangalawa, yung pagiging Amerikano, pagiging Pangulo ng Pilipinas, na-block yun effectively. Hindi lamang kami dito ang nag-block nun, kundi mga Filipino-Americans who sent in intelligence data on the real nature of Neil Manzares' association with the Central Intelligence Agency. Now, dalawa na yung 2/3. Sumakay siya doon dahil hindi naman tumakbo si Bongbong Marcos sa presidente. Doon na pumasok yung personality cult, pagbumura, parang si General Luna. And talaga namang charming siya sa kabastusan niya. Pero masasabi ko dito, simple lang. 16 million ang nag-elect sa kanya. Pero pagdating ng noon of June 30, susumpa siya bilang Pangulo ng 104 million Filipinos. Whether you like it or not. Isinusugsog niya ang death penalty on his perceived national interest. And insofar as this is concerned, I agree. To the point na the death penalty should be restored, as I stated earlier, para nandyan lang siya as an option. Yung administration, I feel, sa Kongreso, yung mga legislation na gagawin nila, mga rules, mga laws, will be tempered by the debate of how the church will react on the guidelines, the papal guidelines. We are a predominantly Catholic country. I'm sure this will be inputted in the legislation process. Sa administration, tapos na yung legislation, napasa rin batas. Sa administration ng death penalty, pwede pa rin. The debate continues. We are a democratic country. At ang sinasabi nga dito sa is the Pope is not substituting his judgment for the political prudence of those who must make decisions about when to use capital punishment. Hindi naman yun ang issue eh. Ang issue dito palagay ko ay kapabayaan na rin natin. Kasi sinasabi rin dito sa nabasa ko na ang ganda eh. Ang ganda ng pagkasabi rito eh. Ultimately, ito, EWTN, no? Hindi Radio Veritas. Joke lang. Ultimately, the laity who are responsible for these judgments in political society must make them in individual cases. So yung citizen participation na ito, at yung yung fiscalization, ano po, hindi naman ito matatapos even this law comes back. In fact, yung committee, hindi pa nga na-abolish eh. So, yun lang ang akin. At idadagdag ko na rin dito, no? Na siguro it's about time the CBCP puts it in its agenda on how the church itself should address the issue of drugs in our society. What is the church doing about this? Sila ang pinaka-grassroots. Anong klaseng moralidad ang dapat na ituro nila dito at palawakin because they have the biggest network that can affect our population constructively.
All right.
Yun ang aking last word yan.
Thank you. More questions? Yes, please.
I'm Rod po from UNTV. Clarification lang po dun sa naitanong na ipunto nyo kanina na may repercussion yung pagbabalik ng death penalty dun sa mga OFW natin na nahatulan din ng death penalty sa ibang bansa. Yung parang mawawalan tayo ng posisyon para hingin na malift o maibaba yung
Mabigyan ng reprieve.
mabigyan ng reprieve. Po yung posisyon naman na mawawalan tayo ng mukha sa international community dahil yung obligation natin doon sa abolition ng death penalty kung saan signatory tayo sa mga convention.
Anybody would care to react?
Secretary Alunan po at saka kay Sir Martin Dino.
I have to beg your indulgence. I was working on something. Please repeat the question.
Sir, yung punto lang po na parang mawawalan tayo ng mukha sa international community dahil parang na yung iniiwan natin, yung obligasyon natin doon sa abolition ng death penalty. Signatory po kasi tayo doon sa ibang mga convention. Tapos po yung parang mawawalan din tayo ng posisyon na humingi ng reprieve para sa mga OFW dahil tayo mismo ay nag-implement ng death penalty kung sakali po.
Yes, that's a tough one. That's correct. But I guess every country has the right to defend itself against crime, terror, and serial corruption, no? And we should recognize the rights of countries to enact their own laws to protect their own societies. The same way we will expect them to respect ours. Now, with respect to the international conventions that we've signed, no, that one I cannot comment because I have to look into that. Hindi ko alam yun. But I do not know whether there is a clause that allows or enables countries to just step out of it in order to deal with unique issues pertaining to their respective countries. No, palagay ko naman there's a way out. It's not hard and fast.
Yes, please.
Sa BACC naman, no, meron kamukha nito meron kaming branch sa Singapore. Alam niyo naman yung nangyari kay Jane Lapueva na kung saan ito yung pinagputol-putol na katawan ng ating OFW at ang napagbintangan dito ay si Gwen Aguilar. Bali BACC ang isa sa nagrepresent sa kanya at alam naman natin na pagka ikaw ay pumatay sa Singapore, death penalty ka. Pero dito, nailaban natin siya na talagang nagpare-investigate tayo. So, pero yung nakikita natin na mga nasisistensya ng kamatayan ngayon, most especially sa China, yung mga naging carrier ng droga, siyempre kung sino man yun sa pamahalaan, talagang puposition sila, hihingi ng mapababa ang asistensya. No? At hindi ko alam kung anong gagawin na diskarte ni President-elect Rudy Duterte tungkol sa bagay na yun. Pero ang ano niya naman talaga, most especially dun sa nangyayari dito sa ating bansa, dito talaga, sila yung nagmamanufacture ng droga dito. No? At yung ating mga kamukha nung nasa Indonesia, na yung iba kasi hindi klaro yung pagkahuli sa kanila. Di ba, pina-check pa natin yung
Mary Jane Bilosa po.
Mary Jane, di ba? Oh. Tapos, yun na nga, yung pagpasok dito din ng mga African na kung anong bansa na. Siguro, tingnan natin sa July 1st, no? Kung ito magsisialis dito or dito na sila talagang maninirahan.
Okay, to react.
Yun na nga yung isasubject mo yun sa sarili mo sa irony. No? Paano ka mag-a-appeal kung meron ka mismong parusang bitay dito sa sarili mong bayan. So that's going to really have an impact. And I hope our legislators, more particularly, will really go into in-depth analysis nung isyung ito. And I hope hindi dapat i-rush na dapat yun natin, ibalik na kagad natin without thinking. I'm very sure there will be hearings in Congress, but you know naman, kung hindi na open yung kanilang mind into this entire idea just to please Digong and all those things, sige, para matupad na lang yung pangako. Then, wala na nga, as you said nga wala na, ano pang pinag-uusapan. Pero kami, magpapatuloy na bibigyan ng edukasyon ng mga tao. Kasi nakikita ko naman pag talaga napagpaliwanagan, napagpaliwanagan mo mga tao at nagbigay. In fact, magbibigay kami ng mga materials, magkukondak kami ng mga Summit for Life forum, i-engage namin yung mga agencies na mayroong kinalaman. By the way, in the Philippines, yung Professional Criminology Association of the Philippines, pick up, ito yung mga nagtuturo ng mga criminology. Sila mismo ay may mga pag-aaral na talagang walang kinalaman yung death penalty doon sa area ng pag-increase ng krimen. Ang talagang dapat tutukan talaga ay paano ba masusugpo. At dito, in fairness to the administration that has been heavily criticized na walang ginagawa, dito nag-umpisa yung lambat, sibat. Ito ay ideya namin dun sa NAPOLCOM na to engage addressing the problem of criminality on the barangay level, no? Mm-hmm. At ito ang isang legacy nung with all the binanatan si Rojas na walang ginawa sa DILG. Ito yung isa sa konkretong ginawa niya. Pinagpatuloy niya ito kasi ito ideya ni Secretary Robredo. As I said nga, hindi naman kami mga basta serious nga sa paggawa ng krimen. Ito for the first time nga ina-address namin yung minention na nga ni Secretary Aluna na chairman ng crime prevention and criminal. Every year yan, Peace and Order Council pinag-usapan. Pero I still have to see a blueprint, paano ipiprevent ang krimen. Lagi na lang merong celebration, nagmimisa, nagse-celebrate. Pero yung konkreto, how do you go about preventing the commission of crime? Kasi importante, prevention. Hindi kagad yung makommit yung krimen.
Okay.
Kaya ito passionate kami about this in the Commission on Prison Pastoral Care, na tinututukan ito. Hindi kami cuddlers ng kriminal. I beg to disagree along that area. And I don't believe that there is such any person at all na incorrigible and beyond redemption. Particularly now, Diyos mio, ito pa nga ito, we are celebrating the Jubilee of Mercy, yung bang, how ironic it is na we will be a country na para bang walang mercy doon sa mga nagkakamali. Ang unang tanong diyan kasi, sino ba hindi nagkakamali? O sasabihin natin, hindi naman heinous yung aking ginawa. Ano ba ang definition ng heinous?
Okay.
Ito yung dapat na tignan . If the weakness of a person is taken over the best in the person, how do you go about addressing it? Killing the person? We don't believe that.
Alright. Ado, may dadagdag ka.
Doon lang po sa aspeto ng OFWs, very complicated din to eh. Ako personally, although harsh, pag illegal umalis ka, palagay ko, you're not entitled to the protection of our own, But even that, even having said that, the Department of Foreign Affairs and perhaps Department of Labor should really come up with a commission na. Kasi realidad na itong OFW na mga abogado, kung nagtayo tayo ng PAO, magtayo na rin tayo ng depensa para dito sa mga ito. Legally or illegally sila umalis dito. Para kahit papano ma-defense, mabigyan sila ng depensa doon sa mga bayan na sila ay napasubo. Kasi karamihan dyan, hindi naman na proseso. Napunta kagad sa capital punishment kasi walang depensa. At hindi nila alam, wala sila abogado. Pangalawa, pagdating doon sa matter of convention, kung ito may mapapasa, palagay ko, goodbye na yon, no? Pipirma na lang tayo uli doon pagka nawala na malawakang krimen at inalis na uli natin ng death penalty. May option pa naman uling ganun eh. We live in the real world where things are changing, and even in the documents of the church, there is a constant reference to modern world. Ang tanong ko, in the face of crime in this world, tayo ba talaga yung modern world in the context of what the papal encyclical is saying? Magmuni-muni rin tayo doon. Dahil hindi matatapos actually itong debating to in our own lifetime kasi we're dealing with very human factors here. But I feel na lahat na take up dito, no, Melo, I think adds to the wisdom of the debate and brings it to the higher level. Kasi talaga namang dapat hindi lang ipasaho ito na paspasan, no? Talagang pagdebatihan to talaga ng gusto. Dahil yun ang dalawa ko, yung isa nga sinusundot ko sa loob, yung against malawakang pandaraya sa eleksyon. Very debatable.
Okay.
So, anyway, yun, doon po ako.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Para po sa panel, si Secretary Alunan. Pat Santos po from Tribune. Sir, my question is, ang dami iset natin po from the background, from way back, yung primitive Filipino up to present. Ang dami na pong pinagdaanan, tyranny, yung rule ng Spanish, martial law, people's power. Ano ba talaga kailangan ng Pilipino? Katanggap-tanggap po ba sa kultura natin yung demokrasya ng Amerika na talaga namang yung politician, corrupt, tapos yung law enforcement, lahat po puro depekto eh. Ano sa na nakikita nyo pwedeng ipalit sa demokrasya? Ang tao talagang makikita nila, susunod, if this fail, itong government na to, ang signs ba ng eleksyon na to is we're going to the dogs, civil war, ganun po ba?
Hindi, rephrase ko. Nakikita nyo ba na magkakaroon ng failed state kung walang mangyayari sa ngayon, papasok na administrasyon?
You know, I'm very uncomfortable when we start pointing fingers and blaming others, no? The failure of the state and the nation is our collective failure. Okay? And the reason why we're talking about all of these things is because we're looking for ways and means to fix the problems that we've created for ourselves. Whether you're passive or active, the point is we're all part of the same society and we sink or swim together. We benefit from the gains that we generate for ourselves and we suffer the pain that we generate when we when we inflict self-inflicted wounds. No, Um, you know, we're talking here about the human condition. And there is no surefire prescription when we start searching for courses of action on how to fix the problems that we've generated or are presenting themselves to us. Okay? It takes leadership, it takes collective will of the people to address the problems that confront them. So that's how we should look at things. No? We're all part of the same family. We live under the same roof. We have only one country. It's called the Philippines. We're only one people, even if we happen to be Catholic, Muslim, or Protestant. And we have children and a future to preserve and protect. That is our collective responsibility. Now, when our safety and security are threatened, then you have to look at all the options on how to protect society. If certain things in place are not working, then you have to look for other courses of action that can protect and secure society. Because that's our ultimate responsibility. We are responsible for each other. No? So when we talk of the human condition, you know, there's nothing set in stone except the fact that we are all imperfect and we have to go through the various stages of, maybe it's even cycle instead of stage, of adolescence, of infancy, adolescence, maturity, second childhood, and then back again to infancy, etc. No? But that's the way it is. And we are at this point in our history where we have a lot of accumulated problems because of our pabaya, our negligence, our leniency toward each other. Mga palusot. No? And all of these have generated consequences for us. So we have to look at those consequences and see how we can avoid repeating those consequences. Right? There are many guidelines. The Catholic guidelines are excellent guidelines. The question is, are we putting them to practice? And when we're not putting it to practice, then how the hell are we going to correct ourselves? My own personal guideline is this. Do what's right. And when you choose to do what's right, make sure you do it the right way. Yun ang guideline na binigay namin sa aming sarili nung panahon namin ni Presidente Ramos when we talked about good governance. Kailangan yung mga umahawak ng gobyerno ay matino at mahusay. Sapagkat kung gusto nyo na titinurin ang lipunan, okay, kailangan ang liderato na nasa lipunan, nasa gobyerno, ay dapat matino at mahusay.
Thank you, sir. My second question kay Ado. Ado, paki-expound mo nga. Dahil sabi ni Sir Rapi, kailangan matitino yung nasa leadership. Sa sistema pa lang ng eleksyon na sinama mo yung election cheating as pasok sa category ng death penalty, anong nakita mong mali simula't simula pa lang doon sa sistema ng election cheating?
Simula pa po noong 2010. Actually, 1998 pa, no? Election reform advocates na kami, panahon pa ng konsyensya Pilipino. Pero na-heighten yung visibility ko nitong 2010 when I filed a nullification case against the 2010 election. But it was a Supreme Court petition born before its time. Dahil napaka-complicated i-explain itong automated election system. Noong 2013, nakakuha na kami ng mga smoking gun. Ako, si Ernie Del Rosario, si Lex Muga, ang namatay na si June Estrella, na guest mo dito noon, si Toti Casino, at pati inquirer mismo. Tinawag pa kami para magkaroon ng meeting with its editorial board. Na very rare yan, ha? na ikaw ay sumasalungat, imbitahin ka na inquirer. At nag-publish sila ng halos buong pahina tungkol sa kalokohan na nangyari noong 60-30-10, where even before the 60-30-10, nandadaya na yung chairman. Dahil prinoklama 6 na senador with 20% of the votes counted. Historic itong si Boy Brillantes, si Mamboy. At inulit pa uli nila yung mga collapsing of the election safeguards na ginawa ni Chairman Melo para talagang bulagin yung sistema sa Pandaraya. Inulit pa uli nila. Kaya ako yung nasisiyahan ngayon na merong isang plunder case against this COMELEC chaired by Brillantes because it has caught up with them on a very small issue compared to yung pinaglalaban namin. Doon sa bidding na uwi, na baka sila ma-death penalty na nga kung yan ay masasama. Anyway, papatawa lang ako doon. Masakit po eh. And dito na naman sa eleksyon ngayon, no? Ang daming, lalo na sa party list. Alam na nila kung sino ang 2 seats, alam na nila kung sino ang 3 seats, alam na nila kung sino ang 1 seat, at hanggang sa kahuli-huli ang pagkakataon, yung fifth from the last, naging last pa dahil inareglo pa yung 4. Nagkabentahan pa. So talaga, talamak na talamak. At kaagibat dito sa proposal ko nito, although hindi related dito sa issue na tinatalakay ngayon, is the abolition of the COMELEC. And since we are in for a possible system change, humanap tayo ng bagong sistema where wala nang COMELEC, where corruption is centralized and syndicated in its very own legal department. Alam na ng lahat yan. Bistado na. Yun ang kasi pag doon mo pinuntos kasi, mas nagiging hopeless. Yung hopelessness ng crime, ng drug, ng social evils, hindi ka pa makapili ng mga tao na gusto mong ilagay. No? Parang yung last resort. Itong election na ito, palagay ko na avert. Ang prediction namin noon, pag wala pa nangyari sa election na ito, there will be a revolution of the bullet. Pero in this election, I think the revolution is by the ballot. Yun nga lang, ang binigay sa ating leader, si Digong. And according to Digong, change is coming, Mr. Dino. So aabangan natin yan, hihintayin natin yan, at tutulungan natin yan. Pero pag siya mismo ang sumuway dyan, di ba? Palagay ko yung imperfections na sinasabi ni Rapi Alunan will go into the picture, and again, papasok na naman ng demonyo sa utak natin, guguluhin na naman tayo tungkol sa isang malawakang pagkaklas. Which I hope na matigil na. At through Digong, maayos na ang sistema one way or the other para tuloy-tuloy na tayo. Dahil ang manghula na mismo nagsasabi na after 2016, mararamdaman na raw ng Pilipinas ang tunay na ng mga Pilipino, ang tunay na kayamanan ng ating bayan.
Okay, salamat. Before that, I would just like to clarify kasi kanina yung sinabi ni Sir Martin, no, na nag-react din si Father. Yung sinasabi niyang temporary lang ang plans ng death penalty. Temporary lang ba talaga? Or how will it, ano yung hanggang kailan siya?
Kamukha niyan, ilang beses na balik tapos na alis. No? Kamukha nun, during the time nung kay Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, nung inalis, no, dinala niya pa sa Vatican yan. Tapos nag-side trip siya sa Spain, no? At ayun, yun ang nangyari yun nung time na yun. At ngayon naman, talagang naman nakita naman natin siguro. Nakita din ni Presidente Rudy Duterte na talagang kailangan ngayon. Yun ang nakita niya, pakiramdam niya, at kami rin sa BCC. At yan naman, pagka naman na tumahimik ng Pilipinas, andyan na naman ang ating mga mababatas para, sige, Pwede namang abolish uli. Yun ang ano. Pero hindi yan pagsubok, no? Hindi natin ginagamit yan para subukan kung i-testing yung ano. Remember, criminal yung pinag-uusapan natin dito at sila ay pumatay din ng mga inosenteng tao. Hindi ito experiment.
All right.
Tracy Cabrera po sa Hataw.
Last question.
If ever na ma-reimpose ang death penalty, accountable yung mga criminal na magpatawan sila ng death penalty. Paano naman po yung those people who condone these crimes from happening? Shouldn't they deserve the death penalty too?
The spirit of the law is prospective, not retroactive. So, ganun kasimple yan, pagkakaalam ko.
Hindi, kasi di ba yung...
Hindi nag-condone eh. Ibang sitwasyon kasi yan eh. May mga influence.
who will condone? Halimbawa, may crime na nangyari, walang ginawa yung tao eh.
Ibang usapan yun.
Shouldn't they be...
It's not condonation.
I think yung punto niya, di ba, yung nagsusog dun sa krimen. At yun nga ang gusto kong i-pick up. Ang death penalty kasi put all the responsibility to one offender. Sole responsibility. But as Secretary Alunan said, collective ang krimen eh. Hindi po pwedeng mangyari ang krimen nang walang kinalaman ang lipunang ginagalawan. May mga tao dyan, no? Okay, na merong responsibility na hindi mo nga mapuput into the death penalty. Because ang death penalty puts the responsibility solely to the one na nahinuli mo at papatayin mo. Which is, yun yung irony, no? Hindi eh. Kasi yung krimen, may mga responsible dyan eh. Kaya naging ganyan siya eh. Paano mong gagawin yon? Yun yung tanong mo. Wala nga. At yun nga yung irony nun. Hindi matatapos yung krimen. Yung sinasabi ni Mr. Dino na ito ay aalisin. Kung ang argumento ay para matakot magkaroon ng peace and order, balik yung death penalty, hindi pag tinanggal mo uli, ang mangyayari ngayon yan, parang sinasabi mo, babalik uli yung pag-atas ng krimen. Ano tayo, naglalaro ng sisisok? Kasi nga, hindi talaga yun yung right diagnosis at hindi yun yung right solution to the problem of criminality.
Follow up lang po. Kasi di ho ba ganito eh. Ang mga kapitalista sa droga, hindi naman sila mismo eh. Ako, mamamaho na, alam ko kung ginamit sa droga yan, hindi ba dapat sila ang accountable since they're the ones who are really perpetrating the spread of drugs?
Tama, pero hindi nga nahuhuli yun eh. Kaya ang punto natin, certainty of arrest. The certainty of the arrest is one that will deter the crime. Hindi nga nahuhuli eh. Certainty of arrest, certainty of prosecution, certainty of conviction, certainty of putting them in prison. Bago yung penalty. Kaso nga, sinasabi, mahirap yung prosesong yan. None other than when we were talking about it sa NAPOLCOM. Naku, Rudy, parang ang hirap-hirap ng prosesong yan. Quick fix solution yung penalty. Hindi solution at all. Unless you address this problem, the certainty of arrest, hulihin nyo. Kaya pag may gumagawa ng evil sa harapan mo, hulihin mo, i-prosecute mo, i-convict mo, ikulong mo. At rehabilitate mo kung naniniwala ka sa rehabilitation.
Final question po. May proposal si Senator Soto to put up a Presidential Drug Enforcement Authority. Hindi na ho kagaya ng PDEA ngayon na compartmentalized. Gagawin nila, huhulihin, tapos bahala ng DOJ, tapos bahala ng DOH. So, nag-aaway-aaway sila, nagtuturoan kung bakit hindi no-convict ng mga drug-involved persons. Now, kung matatayo yung authority, are you in favor? Kasi dapat ang sinasabi niya, it's one super agency that will take care of the arrest, prosecution, rehabilitation, and pati execution.
There are very many nice proposals. Okay. But government has to focus its attention on getting rid of the criminals in their midst. You can create that authority, but if the protectors of the drug syndicates are still in government, then walang mangyayari dyan. So, I think house cleaning is very, very, very important. That should be top priority. House cleaning. Get rid of all the criminals in government, both in the uniform service and in the bureaucracy. Kasi these are the enablers of criminality in society. And they are also criminals themselves. The enablers themselves are accomplices and should be equally held accountable and responsible by the law. Whatever the law is at the time, they should feel the full force of the law. Okay? So, we can come up with all sorts of systems and structures, but if we're still heavily infiltrated, right, nothing is going to work.
Hanggang may pulis na nagbabangketan. No? I remember, there was this article of then Judge Miriam Defensor Santiago. Na pagkakasabi niya, bago raw makarating sa police station at ma-blatter, baka maareglo na. So chances are, mas maraming hindi nare-report sa police dahil sa labas pa lang, naareglo na. Ngayon, kung minsan naman, dahil mali yung pagkakaunawa ng police, yung suspect ang nagiging kriminal, yung biktima nagiging kriminal, nababaliktad dahilan sa maling pangunawa ng pulis na magaling lang sa makinilya, Republic of the Philippines, pero pagkuha na ng pangalan ay that system na. But anyway, that's beside the point. Sabi naman nila, kung magkakaroon ng death penalty, ano yun? Beheading. Will it be beheading? Will it be electrocution? Will it be hanging? Will it be lethal injection or shooting? Pero sabi nung ilan, pag beheading, might as well commission the Abu Sayyaf. May video pa eh. Electrocution, Meralco may not agree because it runs counter to its corporate social responsibility of helping the poor and disadvantaged citizens. Hanging. Oh, there is no abaka in the Philippines anymore. You cannot use plastics in Quezon City. Okay, lethal injection. Pfizer said no because their medicine is known for Viagra. No? So, hindi sa pamatay. Sabi nila, shooting in the back of the head or by firing squad, then you can commission daw the death squad or the Sparrow units. Pero that's beside the point. May nakalimutan. Ano nakalimutan?
Protecting the ecology and improving the environment. Let them drink the the water from the Pasig River.
Oh,
Then you clean it up.
Yeah. Louis Beltran once said, itali mo sahod ng jeep, ibiyahe mo mula Monumento hanggang Baclaran. Patay din yan. Dahil sa pollution. Anyway, I'd like to thank our guests. Took time out to be with us. Magandang usapan. Well, magastos. Walang gastos yun. Painumin mo lang. Anyway, maraming salamat po sa ating mga panauhin. It was a worthwhile discussion. Kasama natin yung GMA7, Channel 5 at UNTV at mga periodista. Maraming salamat po. Next week, yung anniversary. Thank you. Siyempre, Areopagus, kasama natin. Thank you.